tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Okay, you can put your hands down. So, once again, we are here to learn the Buddha's life story and also to learn what he realized through his wisdom. So, if we think about our mind and the way we think, even among ordinary people, there is something called a narrow mind, and also you call it wise thinking and unwise thinking. Thinking wisely and also unwisely. And usually people tell we should be intelligent, we should be wise, and we should be mindful, and we should have awareness, and also we should be educated. So now, with an education, with knowledge of various subjects that we learn in the school, that will lead us to various streams. It could be a student could become an engineer, but we can see even engineers, they suffer from anger, don't they? They suffer from anger. They also go through difficulties in life. And we have then, even if you think about the teachers, if you ask about the teachers, what do you think about the children? Like, they have a very hard time to control them. And with very few students, they are happy. And then also, if you ask a doctor, what happens? He'll be able to heal, and he will be able to cure the people's diseases in the body. But when doctors go through problems, when they go through diseases, even they also suffer. If they were to, due to diabetics or any other disease, if their hands were to cut off, sometimes when you get diabetics, you get wounds, and that wounds can't be cured. Then what the doctors do? They have to cut off one side to save the person's life. But just being a doctor, he will be able to cure the people's diseases. But mentally, the suffering, now suffering arises mentally and bodily both. People suffer mentally and bodily both. Usually people try to overcome the bodily suffering. They try to run away or try to find solutions to overcome bodily problems. But mental problems, even that they try to deal with medicine. But mental problems, until you think wisely, those mental problems will never go away. So, through these Buddha's teachings, what we try to do is, even though we become a doctor, even though we become an engineer, it could be an artist. Now recently, we visit the prison to preach the Buddha's teachings to the prisoners, because they are the ones who are really suffering over there, right? Prisoners, like the children are not with them. If like wives are not with them, and if it is a woman who is in prison, the husband is not with her. No parents. Just imagine the suffering that they go through. and sometimes they are children, and if once they are imprisoned, uh, if the husband is imprisoned, the wife won't be able to uh, educate the children properly, to bear the expenses in the family, in the house. So when this prisoner thinks about his family, what arises? Sadness. Whenever the wife visits this prisoner at least once a month, the wife only knows to tell the sadness, not to tell him a way to overcome sadness. So I'll tell this story first, what happened in the prison. So recently I went to the prison, and then there was a boy. He was in the prison also. There is a small hospital. So I saw one boy, and then I was with another jailer. That jailer called that prisoner, because what I do is whenever I visit there, I'll try to heal their minds. So he was like 23 years old, and then when I was asking his problem, he has fallen in love with a girl, but then after few months he wanted to separate from her. But then again the girl has come behind this boy. How much the girl has come behind this boy? The girl has ended up staying in the boy's house. Usually in Sri Lanka, the parents usually in Sri Lanka for a marriage, first the parents, the boys, the girl will visit the girl's side will visit the boy's side, and then the parents will talk each other, and then they'll fix a date for the marriage. But here this girl, without the parents, without just telling, she has just crashed in and stayed by force. So after a few days, the boy's parents has said, now since this girl has already come, the parents has felt pity for this girl and told the boy to get married. But then again, after they got married, after a few weeks, they started quarreling and fighting. Then the boy wanted to divorce, but then again the police has united them. But then again, while they were having a big fight, the girl has died. Now this person is imprisoned. So the first question that I asked him was, now you are suffering mentally. Now you are suffering because of the own wife. The reason you ended up with anger, quarreling and fighting each other, both of you are quarreling and fighting each other, that's not because of anything else. The reason is you trained yourself to do drawings and do painting, but you did not try to develop your mind to control your anger. You were concerned about drawing and paintings and becoming popular and getting popular, becoming famous by doing various paints. But I asked him, did you try to control your anger from small age while doing these things? He said no. That's the mistake. So while learning various subjects in the school, we should learn something that will help us to control our lust. Lust means when you see pleasant things, you get attracted. Then we should be able to control anger. If not, see, now he was a good painter, finally ended up staying in the prison. Lucky I went there to talk to him. Then the third one is delusion. Now first he suffered from lust, didn't he? When he saw that girl, he has got to know this girl through Facebook. When the girl liked him, he also liked the girl initially, then he suffered from lust. Now because of lust he got attached. Didn't he? He got attached. Then after getting attached, what happened? That external object, didn't it start changing, that girl? Her true nature? She started changing. Then what happened? Since these pleasant things are impermanent and not under our control, what happens? He got angry with that person. Finally, what happens? The anger really went toward extreme, they fought and one person died. And now he is suffering. That is because of what? Why he is suffering? Because of delusion. Now he is sad, mentally ill. That because what? That's because he regret now. Why does he regret? He is suffering from delusion. So 3 things we should be able to develop. That is what? To overcome anger, to overcome lust, to overcome anger, and to overcome delusion. So when a child is 7 years or 8 years, if the parents and the teachers can train these children to overcome lust, at least to control lust, to control anger and delusion, even though they become doctors or engineers, whatever the position they hold, they will be able to live a peaceful life. Won't they be able? Won't they be able to live a peaceful life? They will be able to live a peaceful life. But the problem is, they omit these 3 things and just try to gain happiness externally. If somebody is getting angry, he try to avoid that person. When lust arises, they try to fulfill the thought. When somebody feels sad, they will cry or they will take alcohol and try to just forget it. But again, after now as long as a person is drunk, he can dance and enjoy. But then once he come back to the normal position, won't he remember the sad feelings? Then again he will feel sad. But if he has eradicated delusion, will he feel sad? No. So that's why that prince who was born in a palace, he left that palace and he went on finding a way, something wholesome, a way to overcome this lust, anger and delusion. So for 6 years, he was living in a forest. He went to 2 teachers. One was Alarakalama, Uddakarama. He went to teachers and he found that those teachings are again leading. Now those teachings were able for him to develop the mind to a certain extent. But he understood that those teachings will lead him to again to be reborn. Like there are some meditation teachers, they help us to concentrate the mind. But the problem is, we have to face these incidents again. Unavoidable. Like separating from loved ones, mixing with people that we do not like. Is it avoidable or unavoidable? Unavoidable. What is possible? To have patience. To have patience. So while learning various subjects, that's why we should find a way to be happy even in bad times. So that Buddhism helps a lot. So this is basically, we should be concerned about the mind than the body. Now, people are always and mostly concerned about the body, about the external appearance, about their hunger. But about the mind, now everybody has a mind, right? But when we were small, when we were very small, or when we at least came to the middle age, or to the now here, if I ask you, like we may have you, like here we may have listeners here who may be in 20s, in 30s. But if you think yourself, try to recall yourself, whether you try to think, I have a mind, this mind is with lust, anger and delusion. And this body is also very temporary. And I should be more concerned about the mind than the body. So these kind of thoughts does not arise in our mind. So that's the difference between a Buddha and an ordinary person. That's why we go refuge to the Buddha. We worship the Buddha because now we have individually we have a mind. But we were unable to recognize our own mind. We were unable to recognize some people until they die, even at the face of death, even in the last day of their life, until the last day of their life. Not even in the last day of their life, they realize that they suffer because of their own lust, anger, and delusion. When they got angry, they put the blame on others. They don't understand that I get angry because I have anger in my mind. They always put the blame on others. But a Buddha said, lust, anger and delusion is within us, in our mind. So, this young prince, being born in a palace, and then he left the palace and he tried to overcome these problems in many ways. In India at that time, they had various ways to people practice. We call them ascetics, recluses. To overcome sadness, people, what they did was they gave pain to the body, such as, like sinking in cold water, just living in the forest, just eating little bit. So, and there was a meditation where the prince did, where even the other people also did. Stop breathing, close the nose, control the nose, not breathing. Then how much effort he put, then later the body automatically start breathing from the mouth. Then he closed the mouth very firmly. Then the body started breathing from the ears. That much effort he put, because he understood that there's more suffering than happiness. And we have to suffer ourselves. Nobody else can bear our pain for us. So he dedicated his life to find internal happiness. So then he tried to control his breath even through the ears, and then he felt a severe pain. Like people has taken a big huge rope and has wound, right? How can you tell? A two-person has taken a big rope and wrap around his body, and two people are dragging from either sides. That much pain he experienced, but he did not give up effort for that meditation. Why? He had a strong desire to overcome suffering. There is a simile for that. It's like a prisoner waiting to come out from a prison. Do we have that feelings? So, the prince had such a desire, a strong desire to overcome suffering in life and find a way to overcome suffering. So, then there was another practice, like that was one practice, and there was another ascetic practice, not bathing. Finally, the body was fully covered with dust, like a coating. But he never had thoughts, like he never even had a thought of washing them off. Like if the ascetic practice were to just survive, if the ascetic practice were to remain without washing the body, that's the ascetic practice, right? Not bathing at all. That's the ascetic practice. So if we were to practice that for 1 or 2 days, we might practice and we might feel like, oh my goodness, at least if I can watch this, right? Such thoughts would arise, right? But for this prince, it seems not even a single thought arises in his mind to have a bath and to clean it. That much he practiced ascetic practices. The reason he did it to a certain such an extreme, so that later no one else can accuse him that he has done that practice only partially. He has done that practice just partially. He has done that only just half. This ascetic practice he did well, but the other ascetic practice he just did little bit. So he didn't want to be accused like that. He didn't want his disciple to be accused because of the teacher. If he practiced something, he wanted to practice to extreme, where people would respect him. Finally, he understood that giving pain will not give realization to mind. Giving pain will never give realization to mind. Giving pain will never help us to overcome anger, delusion and lust. Then finally he understood the path to overcome lust, anger and delusion, and then he started meditating, purifying the mind. Where is anger? Is it in the muscles or in the mind? Now anger arises due to unwise thinking or wise thinking? Unwise thinking, right? So this is something to do with the muscles or with the mind? With the mind. So then he decided to meditate, think wisely, and later he became a Buddha. So in one of the upcoming, so in the next episode, let's learn his realization. So by learning this, the pain he gave during the 6 years, may we have the opportunity to develop a confident mind towards the Buddha, and also to have effort to learn more about the Buddha's teachings and keep on learning about and continue learning the Buddha's teachings, to know more about the Buddha's teachings, and also to develop a pleasant mind towards the Buddha in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya.